Hey everyone, welcome back. Today's topic hits close to home. This is for anyone who has ever been the strong one, whether you're the strong one with your family, your friends, at work, or all of the above. When you think about being the strong one, it often feels like a compliment until you realize that it's actually a role that you end up getting trapped in the longer you stay in it. The strong one is the one that isn't allowed to fall apart, the one who must maintain when everyone else is struggling, the one who worries about everyone else and fixes all the problems and then goes home to cry alone. And this was me for a lot of my life. Today, I want to talk about the hidden cost of being the strong one, what it took from me, what people don't see, and how I'm redefining what strength looks like on my own terms. Growing up, I was the oldest of 5 children. I was taking care of them all starting at a young age, babysitting all 4 of them solo starting about the age of 10. I was always mom number 2, much to the chagrin of my brothers, which were kids number 2 and 3. The littlest ones didn't mind so much, but the brothers definitely did. I was parentified early. It wasn't just about taking care of my siblings, but I was responsible for handling emotional crises that I had no business doing. I was put in the role of confidant, peacekeeper, supporter, and protector long before I even knew what those words meant. And layered underneath that was the trauma that I was carrying all alone. I was always seen as the strong one. I was always the responsible one. I was forced every day to step into a parental role before I even knew who I was. And once people see you as the strong one, they stop checking to see if you're okay. So what are the hidden costs of being the strong one? Well, number one is you just grow up too fast. I never got to really be a child. I have very few memories of being actually able to be carefree without being concerned about everyone else. I was always in the protector mode, trying to make sure everyone else was safe. When my father and brother would have a mental break or have an outburst or start fighting, it was me ushering the little ones into the other room, turning on the TV extra loud, turning on a movie so that they couldn't hear the screaming and so that they couldn't hear the police coming and going. I developed extreme hypervigilance. I was always mentally and physically on edge, waiting for the next catastrophe. And that next catastrophe always came. When I was 22 and I had to get my sisters out of my abusive parents' home, I was ready and I was there and I did that. And I don't regret doing that in any way. But it's a great example of how I automatically took on the parental role the moment it was needed. My strength became my identity. I remember preening when I was young at my aunts and uncles and cousins and grandparents, gushing about how responsible I was and how mature I was for my age. But the reality of that is that as a child, I shouldn't have had to be adult-like. It kind of seems sad looking back at it now, and it's not something I would ever want for my own children. Number 2, your needs don't seem to exist to other people. When you are the strong one, everyone just assumes you've got it all together, that you don't need anything, that you don't need support. They don't offer help, they don't ask questions. And occasionally, even if they do offer to help, what do? Silly us, we turn it down because we don't want people to think that we're weak, because our strength has become who we are. And if we show any vulnerability, it feels very vulnerable, very vulnerable. And we don't like admitting that we haven't got it all figured out. People don't imagine that you're struggling because you appear so functional. Number 3, you become everyone's emotional support system. Whether it's friends, family, coworkers, people come to me with their problems. And I love helping my family and friends and being able to support the ones that I love. But sometimes I would find that I was drowning trying to be strong for everyone else and not have the energy to even be strong for myself. Number 4, your strength becomes your cage. When you're always strong, you're not allowed to be anything else. You don't feel like you have the luxury of emotional collapse like everyone else does. You don't get comfort. You give comfort. And any vulnerability feels like a failure automatically. You hide your pain because it makes others feel uncomfortable. I didn't realize how trapped I was in this flawed mental processing until somebody actually stopped and asked me one day, "But Janae, who takes care of you?" And I didn't have an answer for them. Number 5, the strong ones will automatically attract people who take advantage. Because I was so strong and naturally giving of my time and energy, I attracted people who would take advantage of that time and energy, particularly with partners. I consistently ended up dating takers while I was a natural giver. Takers gravitate toward givers and vice versa, unfortunately. My first husband was a particularly bad taker, continually taking advantage of my ability to get things done. And with my challenges with confrontation, I never really did anything about it. And he would simply go along, knowing that I would make sure that the bills were paid, the girls were taken care of, that the house was clean, and so on, without feeling like he had to reciprocate in the process. As the strong one, you continually compensate, overfunction, and carry the relationships you're in. Being the strong one made me a magnet for these people, for the takers. And even after I got divorced, I didn't really get out of that cycle until I made a concerted effort to get out of that cycle. Using my first marriage as an example, I hit emotional fatigue and exhaustion long before I even realized it. And a lot of resentment built, all the while I was feeling extremely alone in the process. And when everyone leans on you, it's so hard to ask and to believe that you can lean on someone else. And instead, you just suffer in silence. Strength was the thing people praised me for, even as it hollowed me out. It took me a long time to realize that I didn't have to take care of everyone, and particularly that I didn't have to say yes to everything I was asked to do. I can still be strong while not being taken advantage of. Cutting off my parents was one of the biggest moments in my life where I took back some of that strength. After my father was arrested for abusing me, my mother became an absolute basket case. She would question me all the time. She was hysterical. She was very upset and angry, and at the same time insisting that I was lying about the abuse. I kept trying to fix things, explaining over and over and over again what happened, what my father did to me, that he was lying to her, but it was no use. And trying to get her to understand that she was abused as well as the wife of this person who'd been lied to and also mistreated was going nowhere. And then her behavior escalated. And when she couldn't get the answer she wanted, she started being very manipulative and abusive. And then when her own mistreatment and manipulation became too much, I finally got the strength to put my foot down. I stopped responding to her messages. I stopped taking her calls. I structured my life to avoid situations where she would be there because I was so stressed out by having to deal with her violating my boundaries over and over and over again. So I started making concerted efforts and making decisions that would remove me from those situations where I didn't feel violated, and decided that I wasn't going to put up with that abuse any longer. I skipped holidays and family gatherings, and only then did she finally start respecting my boundaries. I think in part because other family members pressured her to do so. And then even then, I refused to let her attend anything that I was hosting, and I refused to let her attend my wedding with my now husband. It took a long time, but I finally decided that protecting her feelings was not as important as protecting my peace. And I decided that I could still be strong, but for me this time, not for anyone else. I began choosing peace over obligation. I began valuing myself more than valuing other people. It might sound selfish to say, but I am the most important person in my life, and you should be the most important person in your life. From an emotional health standpoint, I believe that the only way you can properly take care of and love other people is to be strong and support ourselves first. You cannot give from your cup if your cup is empty. But what does that mean to be strong for ourselves? For me, what this means is a couple things. It's reminding myself that it's okay to have needs. That is really, really okay. It's okay to have a sick day when you're emotionally fatigued, even if you're not physically sick. Remembering that boundaries are good. They protect me and they ensure that the other person knows very clearly what that boundary is, when they are crossing it, and what the repercussions for crossing those boundaries are. Believing that it's okay to disappoint people when necessary. If we ration our energy and give it out more effectively, we can do more good and give more authentically and wholly to causes that we care about. And it means asking for help when we need it. And it means choosing ourselves over the needs of others. It means remembering that I don't have to earn the right to rest. The biggest turning point for me on this journey was several years back, right after Christmas. As my mother has a tendency to do, she had violated every boundary that I had set for her. Touching me without consent, taking pictures of me without consent, even putting my father, who there was a restraining order against, on speakerphone for him to talk to the family while I was in the room. And she repeatedly pestered me with questions about my life, knowing full well that I will always answer politely because I don't want to be perceived as the asshole and cause drama at family gatherings, despite my own personal discomfort and how I didn't want to have these conversations and didn't want her to know these things about my life. As with everything, it was boiling down to me experiencing trauma in order to make everyone else around me feel comfortable. So it was a couple days after Christmas, and I was venting with my roommate, and I was so frustrated at this whole situation. And my roommate chimes in and he goes, "Why do you even go to these events? Every time you come back, you're frustrated for weeks after, let alone the weeks before where you're super stressed and anxious about going to the event at all. Why don't you just not go?" And silly me, it was like a light bulb or an epiphany. I had never once occurred to me to skip the family gatherings. Sounds so basic, right? But for the first time, I considered it. That following Thanksgiving and Christmas, I booked plane tickets out of state and I skipped Thanksgiving and Christmas. And for the first time, I had stress-free holidays. In the years that followed, I worked on other ways to be strong for myself. I worked with a therapist to identify red flags and help set rules for dating, as the trauma I'd experienced often blocked me from seeing the red flags waving at me with the men and women that I was dating. I left jobs where I was being mistreated. I filed HR complaints against people who treated me in inappropriate ways or discriminated against me. I still gravitate toward being the strong one, and I think that's why I'm so good at my day job, but I'm doing a much better job of letting go of the rescuer identity and putting myself first in the process. If you're the strong one, I want you to know that I see you. I know that you carry so much weight and that you're often forgotten in the process. I hope that one day you'll remember that you deserve support too, that it's okay to rest and recover and put down the weight for a minute. And believe me, by taking care of yourself, you'll be better able to support and be strong when you really need to. Honestly, being strong has kept me alive. But vulnerability and self-awareness are what are helping me actually live now. I really appreciate you all being here. Thank you for listening. I hope that this is helpful and that you take some of these things with you as you learn and grow in your own process. Thanks for spending time with me. I'm Janae Cherie, and I hope that my stories help you to tell yours. Every like and subscription helps this channel reach someone who's still struggling in silence. So thank you for supporting the work.